Today we are looking at an American beech. This is Fagus grandifolia. What we're focusing on today with our plant adaptation is the fact that sometimes on beech trees and some other relatives like oaks, you will see that even though all the other plants around have lost their leaves, that these guys are still hanging on to their leaves, even though they're brown and crunchy. They're not green anymore. They are not photosynthesizing any longer, but yet the tree hangs on to them. And as a professor who teaches tree and shrub identification, and also the director of an arboretum, which is an outdoor classroom and living laboratory, it's our job to provide answers, to explain why these things happen. But what's really cool about this is that scientists really aren't sure why these trees do this, but they have a number of theories that I'd like to share with you. There's theories that these trees do this. One is to protect the buds, so from herbivory. So animals like deer, which we have a lot of here, in the winter they survive on twigs and buds, and that's where they get their nutrition from. And so if you're a deer and you're walking past this tree and it's got all these non-nutritious leaves on it that are crunchy, the deer can sense the nutritional value of something that they're planning to eat. And so they might just walk right on by this because they know that there's nothing in these leaves to eat. And that protects these buds that you can see and the twigs, which are alive and growing, from being eaten by deer. So that's one theory about why these plants might hold on to their leaves. And it makes sense because you tend to see this characteristic on younger plants and lower branches. And as the trees get older and get out of the reach of the herbivores, then they lose this characteristic a lot of times. Another theory is that as the spring comes, these drop off and they start to decompose. They've already been weathered on the tree, so they're going to decompose faster. So as the plant needs nutrients to put those first new spring growth out, there's nutrients that are breaking down and going into the soil for the plant. So there's a number of reasons why it might hold on to these. It might help protect from the sun by keeping the young tender branches. It might stop it from being sun scalded in the winter. So there's a number of different reasons why this might happen. But the exciting thing is we get to use our imaginations to try and understand why. And nobody's quite sure just yet. The American beech is an important plant to have in the Arboretum for a couple of reasons. It's one of our native trees. It's one of the trees that is very dominant in our woodlands all around us in the region. It supports a lot of different types of wildlife with its fruit. It gets what's called beech nuts, and they're important for ground birds and mammals like squirrels and deer for eating. These trees are also having trouble right now. So there's a couple of diseases that are affecting them. And so we want to raise awareness about those and what people can do to protect them and why we should plant them and make sure that they're doing okay in our ecosystems. It also adds to the diversity of our landscape. This will get to be an enormous tree. If it makes it to adulthood, it'll get to be an enormous tree, provide cover and shelter and habitat for wildlife, as well as doing the things that plants do, holding water and cleaning soil and that kind of thing. But for us, it adds to the diversity and what we're able to teach here in the Ambler Arboretum. One thing that I recommend, if you're thinking about planting a plant or you're thinking about including some kind of plant in your landscape, one of the best things to do is go visit botanical gardens and see what that plant looks like in a landscape setting as a mature specimen. So you can get a good idea of how it's going to grow, what shape it's going to have, how big it's going to be, and that'll give you an idea of whether or not it will actually work in your landscape. So when you go to a nursery or garden center, they tend to be small, so it's easy to imagine it in your landscape. But go to a botanical garden. They have labels on them and you can tell what they are, and then you can see how big they get. And that'll help you out a lot with deciding what can go in your landscape.